Hello everyone, welcome back to Cross/Game. It's EV here, back with another video. This week I wanted to kind of discuss ahead of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's release coming in February. Some theories, I'd say, of what may happen. So I am very hyped for it, and a part of it is because I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what Square and the developers and the writers and what they have in store for us. In the end of the day, Final Fantasy Remake and Rebirth and whatever the third one is going to end up being called, these games only exist because of the massive popularity behind the original game. We grew up with it. It's part of, you know, these OG fans such as myself. It's part of our childhood, and so these games are very important to us. We love to play them. I think I've played Final Fantasy OG many a times. I've lost count. Every single time it's re-released, I play it. I don't know why. I think it's just to give myself an excuse to get back in touch with my 12-year-old self. When I was a child literally, and being introduced to video games and wanting to just dive into that world. It was just a strange feeling. Now it's like a nostalgia. It's one of the very few things in life at the moment that brings me that nostalgic feeling, and I love it. So obviously Rebirth was great. Had its flaws, as I said before. It has its flaws, but it's a great reimagining. I think ever since Square decided to make the Advent Children movie, it just, even though the movie is borderline rubbish, I'll put my hands up. It's a great movie for me, but I can imagine when people watch it, apart from at the time the cinematic advancements in technology and whatnot. You know, some people go, wow, this looks great, look at how crazy everything's going and all the craziness happening on the screen. For me, it was like, oh my god, it's Cloud, it's Tifa, this is exactly how I imagined them. And most of the other characters didn't get as much screen time as you'd hope, but ultimately it did its job. It ignited something inside us, and then Square goes out and puts that tech demo back in 2003. God, 5? I can't remember now, but it just started something. It started to brew inside of us. We're like, this can happen. Final Fantasy VII can be modernized in the best graphics that we have, and bring that world to life. But yeah, that being said, we know that there's a lot going on with some changes that the development are trying to implement into the story, and to make it, I guess, entertaining for us OG fans who grew up with that game. So it's not just a one-for-one remake. Remake is where we're at, and Rebirth is where we're going. So with that being said, these new changes that they're implementing, we know, and again, spoilers for anyone that hasn't played Final Fantasy Remake, if you're ever listening to this video. At the end of Final Fantasy Remake, Zack is alive. He survives his onslaught from Shinra forces, and he manages to save Cloud and make his way to Midgar. So there's been already a couple of trailers, well, 3 to be exact, which show Zack carrying Cloud into Midgar, Zack in Midgar, still carrying Cloud, and then Zack pawns Cloud over to Kyrie, and so we have Zack. My theory in how they're going to implement Zack back into the world of Final Fantasy, in a place where he's supposed to be dead. Now there's a lot of theories out there about timelines. So the timeline theory is there's 2 timelines, or there's 3 timelines, depending on how you want to see it. There's either the OG game timeline where everything's already happened, there's the Zack timeline, and now there's the remake Rebirth timeline. So there's 3 timelines, because every time, say during the remake playthrough, Cloud clutches at his head and he has a vision, it's something that's already happened, and we've seen that, whether it's in the movie Advent Children or we've seen it in the original game because we played through it. So it's like almost like he's reliving, or is it that he can see the future? We don't know. But he's having these episodes, you know, when he's with Aerith and one tear streams down his face. You know, what the hell's going on? But we can see that Cloud is going through something, and Aerith obviously as well. She knows things, or she feels things. She can sense something's not right. You know, she obviously is not. I don't think she's hiding per se what she knows, but there is something there. Like there's something in the background, like the fact that she, you know, Cloud, you're a soldier, right? You're a mercenary, right? So, and she knows, you know, that she needs to go and save Marlene. So it's like she's one step ahead of the events, and everyone's a little bit surprised or taken back by the things she says. And even her notion at the end of Remake, you know, boundless freedom, you know, just it's how scary it is to no longer be bound by fate, I guess. It is a scary thought, but I think she's ultimately, it's hard to tell if those lines of dialogue are designed to be spoken at the party behind her, next to her, or to us, the players. That once you step forward into that portal and you go in to fight those fates or whispers, that ultimately you are now making the decision to change fate, to change what you know to be the original story as a player. And I think it probably works both ways, but to everyone in the party, I don't know why it would make any sense. Maybe Cloud or Red 13 maybe has some sort of notion of what's going on, but it's hard to tell. The most annoying part of all this is if they do really have some sort of a notion of what's going on, especially Red 13 after Aerith touches his head. Why are they not saying anything? Why are they not talking to each other? So, you know, Tifa we know that she knows things, but it's within still the same timeline, the context of the story where Cloud says things and she's like, well, nah, what are you talking about? But she hides it. She stops herself from questioning him because she doesn't want to rock the boat. But I'm guessing that, you know, that's part of the story that will come at a later date. But from what I hear is, for Rebirth, after what we've done in Remake, for Rebirth, the development team is rearranging events, so how they're going to come to pass. But one of the main things, obviously, after we have Zack, we have Deep Ground from the Yuffie DLC. So they're there, they exist. They're part, somehow they're going to be part of this story, but we don't know exactly in what way. And I can't even predict how you're going to put Deep Ground within the context of the original Final Fantasy, because then there's no mention of them initially. But at the same time, I'm excited because it will enrich the story. But let's try and keep things into a specific context here. So let's start with Zack. So my prediction / theory for Zack is going to be one where he comes into being. It's like he's, you know, he all of a sudden he sees the world that happens after, you know, as if he has saved Cloud. He's made it back to Midgar, and now he's going to see a Midgar that is changed, because in his timeline, is it that he's jumped? You know, what are we seeing really? Has he travelled into the future in time? So him and that version of Cloud, are they in an alternate universe, or are they in the same universe as Cloud and the rest of the party? It's difficult to understand that. He meets Kyrie, he passes Cloud over to her. What are we seeing really? We don't know. But if it's the same timeline, I think it'll be very difficult for them to explain why there's two Clouds all of a sudden and two Buster Swords. It's a bit of a phenomenon. But at the same time, in saying that, Sephiroth is there, and Sephiroth is I think is the same Sephiroth from the other timeline. So maybe there is a way of jumping through timelines. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But Zack, in my opinion, he's in a separate timeline altogether. And I think what's going to happen is we are going to live through certain portions of Zack's future life alongside playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Cloud's version of it. So Zack is now going to realise that Aerith is dead. It still doesn't make sense. Maybe it does. So I was just thinking, because after the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, everyone leaves Midgar, but then the second trailer starts with, or the last trailer starts with, everyone seemingly dead, being carried into a helicopter. So is that Zack's timeline? Is that when he's just been reintroduced, and then he gets told Aerith is dead? You know, maybe that's what it is. And through those sorts of that sort of timeline, he's gonna meet other people that are gonna. Someone else has to be conscious of what's going on, and they're gonna be like, This is not supposed to be happening. You know, we've doomed ourselves somehow. I think there's gonna be something that's gonna be the catalyst to Zack understanding that something is up, something is wrong. And he's going to chase Sephiroth himself. So he's going to go on his own journey, in his timeline, I'd say, and go through his own journey. And I think I don't think it's going to be a switch between Zack and Cloud. I think that ultimately you'll continue to play as Cloud and the gang all the way through Rebirth. But there will be some cutscenes, maybe something like that, or a Laguna type situation, where there's going to be a connection between both of them. And then towards the very end, so Rebirth finishes, and we're going to get 2 DLCs. One for Zack, one for Vincent. That's my prediction. Which will connect both of those characters into whatever this third game is going to be. There'll be playable characters in the third game. Somehow Zack's going to come into Cloud's present. That's my prediction. It's a long shot. I have no clue how they're going to do that. But I think that is it a good idea in my head? I don't know. You might be messing it all up in a way and changing what Final Fantasy VII really is. But at the same time, it could make things interesting. It really depends on how Square decide to play it. How are they going to bring this to life? But Zack is going to be an important, integral part of the new game. Of the next couple of games anyway. Is it in the plan? Is it that's what Sephiroth wanted all along? By killing Fate at the end of Remake, he wanted Zack to survive. Could it be that that's the case? So there's a lot there to unpack, but I want them to really give Zack a proper introduction into the game. He is a beloved character to many players. He's supposed to be dead, so it goes to show what is possible. And I'm not gonna, for again spoilers. Who else could survive? Their fate. Maybe is it a choice based, or is it going to be written into the narrative that someone may or may not survive the near future? We don't know. So yeah, Zack will be cool when we see. Let's see what they do, and then we'll see if we like it or not. But I hope they do him justice. What else? What is Sephiroth's aim? I guess if I really had to think about it, knowing what we know already, Sephiroth is going to try and stop the inevitable, which is his own defeat at the hands of Cloud and Co. Ensure Jennifer's survival somehow. Ensure that meteor crashes onto the planet. Maybe that's exactly what he wants. It's really difficult because the way he's acting right now, and especially that short clip at the end of Remake where him and Cloud and talking and 7 seconds till the end, that's so cryptic that no one really understands what that means. Of course, I know developers has probably mentioned something here or there, and I just haven't seen it. But it's in that last video, that last cutscene, it feels like he's asking Cloud to join him, almost help him take over and do things a different way, like take a different journey. And obviously Cloud rejects him, and here we are. But it's difficult. It's difficult to know. I don't want to. It's difficult because Sephiroth isn't the most in-depth villain that gaming's ever seen. There's better villains out there. Even in the Final Fantasy franchise, there's better villains. But he's very loved. He's a villain that everyone loves because of how cool and calm he is. And even at the end of Advent Children, he clearly says, "I'll never be a memory." And I would not be surprised if this whole storyline that they're coming up with is based on that one line at the end of Advent Children, like, "I will never be a memory." And he somehow, from that Advent Children last scene that he appears in, he manages to concoct a way back in time. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I want Sephiroth again to be redeemed as a character, because in the original he doesn't really do much, and I think that's the beauty of him, right? Because he's just this shadowy figure that you see pop up every now and again, but it's not even him. It's Genova that you're seeing, some sort of clone that you're seeing running around, and that gets kind of like highlighted even in the remake. All these clones, and Cloud sees Sephiroth in every way he looks. So it's not actually Sephiroth that's running around doing all those things, but I think that was it. Part of that mystique, that mystery around Sephiroth, is the fact that he's never really there until the very end of the game, in the original game, I mean. And I think that's being kind of portrayed here again. He's just an illusion, almost, that Cloud sees in specific moments through his journey. Yeah. I can't wait. I think the beauty of this whole remake trilogy is not knowing what they're going to change. Yeah, I know they're going to add a lot, but what are they going to change from the original game? Yeah, bring out the dream team and have Cloud and Zack and just going against Sephiroth, maybe. Let's see what happens. Let me know what your thoughts are. What do you want to see in Rebirth? What's your theory? What's your tinfoil hat theory around these guys? Are we gonna get a Zack and Cloud team up at the end? Are we gonna save Aerith? Are we gonna save Zack? Is Zack alive? Is he dead? Is he just a figure? Is he just a figure of someone's imagination? Who knows? But in the meantime, stick with us. We're going to have more videos around Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's just enough topics to talk about. Yeah, leave some comments below. Like, share and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, bye.